Okay, another video talking about cult groups. The idea that they seem wonderful at first. I remember when I got recruited, it is going a while back now. It was a Saturday lunchtime, January 1995, at a shopping centre called Prince's Mead in Farnborough. I remember the day. I don't forget it. It's like the day you met a girlfriend. I remember when I first met her down the pub or whatever. But this sort of first impression, or even the first few weeks or even the first few months for some people, the group is just a wonderful thing, or the people they're meeting are such wonderful people. I remember my first year in the cult, and I met a lot of seemingly really nice people. And yeah, you join a group, you get to know people in the group, and they seem like wonderful people. And then you see the other side eventually. And you have to ask yourself this question: why people join groups, whatever the group might be, and then why most people leave that group. Now for some people it takes them longer to figure it out than others. And some people, I know people in London ICC, the guy who, this was 2011, the guy who got me into the London ICC from the London ICOC, he's still there. I left over 10 years ago now, 11 years ago, about that, yeah. 11 years ago I left, not under good circumstances. I got shunned and I got lied about, I mean, why would you join a group that then later shuns you, lies about you, This is why these channels exist. Ex-members from so many abusive groups are on YouTube, and they're telling you the side of the story the cult won't tell you. Otherwise, you wouldn't join in the first place. And it's a bit like the sort of dodgy salesman. Oh, this product is fantastic. And then you later realise, hang on a minute, it's not as fantastic as you told me. This bit doesn't work, that bit needs replacing, and you didn't tell me about all these other things I need. The old salesman con. But with religious cults, it's more than you're just buying something. You're not just buying a product or getting a job. It is the whole thing. It's the whole thing. It is your whole life, the cult. Members in the cult sort of replace friends and family who aren't in the group. If you're interested in dating or getting married, well, look, now you're part of a group, and these people are the people of God, or these people in MLM, they're like-minded people who want to be successful in life, So there's a lot of bait. I've put a few phrases up here. One phrase I didn't put is this concept of bait and switch. You're drawn into something, and then suddenly, the rules change, or they didn't tell you things. It's like, well, I didn't know that about this job. I didn't know that about a relationship, and then the relationship ends or the job ends or whatever. What I've put here is it's only later you realise the rule. I should put the rules of the game. It's plural, isn't it? The rules of the game. And this is when, a lot of people in life, they'll try something, maybe somebody invites them to a group, whatever type of group it might be, and they give it a go, and they always assume, well, if I don't like it, I'll just walk away. But in a religious cult, so much of the the sort of recruitment process is designed so, no, you won't walk away. Because if you leave, the devil will take control of your mind, or you'll go to hell, or terrible things will happen, or you'll never be successful. You'll be in the rat race, you know. So there's the other side to it of the threats if you leave, you know. With the groups I've mentioned, London ICOC and London ICC especially, and there'll soon be a London Restored Church Worldwide, Kit McKean Cult version 3.0. You know, if you leave, well, you're damned. You know, so cults can be easy to join and hard to leave. You know, another phrase that people use. But the joining process, everyone's friendly. Everyone wants to get to know you. You know, people, you know, you're in a room full of people and you're a new person. People will come up and introduce themselves to you. Oh, I haven't seen you before. What's your name? You know, start a conversation, break the ice kind of thing. And you can feel very welcomed, but you don't know what you're getting into. And you don't. How could you? How could anyone who, you know, starts a new job or a new relationship or some group, you're not expected to know, you know, what's really going on. And if there's any group that has anything that is slightly underhanded or slightly devious or slightly manipulative, that's not going to be part of the sales pitch to get you in, is it? That's not going to get you joining. But I mean, I remember when I went to my first service, this was like way back again, 1995. It was a Sunday after that Saturday. So there was the Saturday I got invited, then I went the very next day on the Sunday. And, you know, I walked into a room full of people who I'd never met before. Obviously, I knew the guy who invited me. He gave me a lift in his car. And there were a couple of other guys in the car as well, you know, sort of getting to know me. All very friendly, all very friendly. And then I couldn't help but notice that there were some reasonably looking women in the group as well, you know, and I was thinking to myself, wow, what a nice bunch of people. That was my first impression. What a nice bunch of people. But it's only later you realise, like with dating or marriage in a cult, it's usually the leader who decides, or they say give advice, it's more like give permission. You know, the leader controls who marries who gets divorced, where people live, you know, if people are part of the group in another part of the nation, you know, moving people around who are good at recruiting kind of thing. There's all these things you don't realise until later, the rules of the game, you know, and any kind of group you would expect, you know, fair enough, a group would need money to rent a hall or pay for staff. You know, you could understand, you know, any group, you know, whether it's a sports club or, you know, a social club or whatever, membership fees, you know, buy food and drink, all of that kind of stuff. There is the financial side of it. And in a healthy group, they'll give you honest accounts, membership fees, £20,000 collected in the year from however many members, you know, money they made at the bar or whatever, you know, money collected, money spent, and they're very open about it, you know. But in a cult, there's always the sort of underhanded line about the books, you know, where does the money really go? How much does the leader make? Or how much does the leader spend? You know, there's this other side of the story that you either compromise with, or you just see what you want to see. You know, you see a group of, I mean, a cult, you could define it as a group of mostly friendly people. That sounds good, doesn't it? Let's go somewhere to a group of mostly friendly people. Um, Especially in this day and age where a lot of people are, maybe isolated, you know, not socialising as much, working two jobs, not having much of a social life, you know. Um, so there is that sort of human dynamics. But if you go to like a normal church, I've done this. I don't really go to church anymore, but you know, you can go to a normal church and maybe somebody will come up and say hello, maybe not. But in a cult, because it's all geared to recruitment, pretty much you can step inside of a room, with cult people in it, and somebody's gonna come up to you. Oh, hi there. I haven't seen you before. All sort of friendly, pretending it's natural, but it's very sort of deliberate, you know. And I think that's one of the signs of a cult. You walk into a room and maybe you get one or two people come up to you at the same time, both of them saying, "Oh, hi there," and then who's actually going to carry on the conversation, kind of thing. Um, right, so that's enough for part A. We're going to do a part B to this.